And welcome back to another Sunday Sit Down here on Above the Fold. I am your host, Ted Lund, and joining us today we have Key West City Commission candidate Chris Massicotte, who is running to fill in the seat that is currently held by Commissioner Mary Lou Hoover. Chris, nice to have you on today.
Thanks for having me, Ted. I appreciate it.
Hey, let's start off first. I was very, very happy to see Mary Lou Hoover at the at Wednesday's commission meeting. I know she's been dealing with some health issues, and if she had missed another meeting, that would have more than likely led to her replacement by the commission. So, very, very nice to see her there and going to complete out her term.
Yeah, I was happy to see that too. She called me the day that I announced, and she told me she was going to make it there no matter what, and she did. So I was very happy to see her there. And there wasn't a whole lot of things that she needed to participate in the morning session, but in the evening session, there were quite a few votes, and she was there and present for all of them.
Yeah, the morning session went quicker than usual. I was surprised. I believe they were done in like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like
Hmm.
that. Not a whole lot of controversial stuff on that agenda. But let's talk a little bit about what made you decide to get into the race. I know you previously had run against Jim Scholl as a county commission candidate. What caused you to jump in to the Key West race?
Well, I ran for county commissioner, knowing that running as a Democrat was very difficult outside of Key West and Stock Island. Um, but I ran because I really wanted us as a county to have a robust conversation about the future of our county. And so many things over the campaign had come out: the TDC audits, the indictments over Trauma Star and the county administrator. And over the course of the campaign, even though we didn't win, we were able to have that conversation, bring awareness, and create some change, that I think is going to be great for us over the long run. I am so thrilled about what the TDC has been doing and our new CEO, Kara Franker. And I'm not sure if we put the pressure, if we hadn't put that kind of pressure on the county commissioners and the TDC, that we would be in the position we are today. So that was the main reason for me running for county commissioner. Now, the reason for my wanting to run for city commissioner is this is a much smaller district. It is a much smaller race, and I'm running to serve. I'm running to win. I won Key West in November, and I also won District 5 by a good amount. So I'm running because we need to bring back integrity. We need to bring back, some, debate on the dais, and really turn things around. Where we've been really falling down on the job wherever it comes to asking questions about the budget. We were the only municipality in all of Monroe County to have to raise our millage rate. We were the only municipality whose budget increased, that we had more employees. And I think that the future of the way government works is going to be a more efficient government, and we're going in the wrong way.
Well,
And Commissioner
and
Kaufman really brought that up.
particularly, I was going to mention Commissioner Kaufman. He has really been pushing hard on the realization that there is likely going to be a reduction in ad valorem taxes coming out of Tallahassee, which is really going to put a severe crunch on the city, the county, and the school district. So that definitely is something to keep an eye on there. Let's talk a little bit about transparency. I was kind of disappointed at the latest commission meeting. They once again pushed off that inspector general position for the city, which was one of the recommendations made by the grand jury. And one of the strongest opponents to that was actually somebody that was a target of that investigation, and that would be District 4 Commissioner Lisette Carey, who really wanted to defund that position. Is a very interesting stance to me on that. And it doesn't seem like anybody, with the exception of maybe Commissioner Hoover or Commissioner Kaufman or Commissioner Monica Haskell, really are pushing for that. It just seems like there's It just seems like there's a lack of progress to me. I know we got an update from City Attorney Man Downs on that, which I wrote about, but it just doesn't seem like they're doing enough.
They're not, and I wish that we they would follow the recommendations of the grand jury a little bit more seriously. I think they're pushing up, and I don't have any evidence of this, but I think there is more to come, and I think that they would prefer, and they're dragging their feet for reasons because they just would rather, buy themselves some time until either the next election or what. But I'm a former auditor. I'm a big fan of checking things and making sure that things are done the right way and that there is an independent position that does that. So the Whistleblower Act and the Inspector General and that whole thing, they're just dragging their feet. Same thing with water quality. We didn't see a contract this month. I really find
Which
it
was
hard to believe.
supposed to be, yeah, it was supposed to be on the agenda at this last meeting on Wednesday, and it wasn't.
And it wasn't. And I reached out as soon as the agenda had come out. I reached out to City Manager Barroso about it, and he said that there were some details they were still working out. And that's been, a common thread from the City Commission saying, "Oh, we're not ready yet, and we're not ready yet," because if you don't test, which we haven't tested for more than a year, and you don't know, then we can't make any corrections when it comes to pollution in our nearshore waters.
Yeah, absolutely. And, on the transparency issue as well, I reported this morning because people have been pressing me for an update on the Fantasy Fest scooter accident that occurred at a Duval Street intersection. And there were no charges. Nobody was identified. One person on that scooter, they were hit from behind. I ran video of it this morning. And there seemed to be a lot of inaction by the law enforcement officers that were there, with the exception of a Key West Police Department motorcycle officer who really took charge of the scene. But I requested the incident reports from the city records department and still have yet to receive any documentation of that. So we don't know who was driving. We don't know who the victims were. We don't know the extent of it. And the response that I got from the police department's public information officer was, well, it was an accident. They happen all the time. And I just find it hard to believe that you could rear end a scooter and not at least get a ticket, in my mind. So
I
very
mean, I don't
frustrating.
know what kind of injuries there were in that, and I haven't seen your video from this morning, but to address the question of transparency, it is impossible for a government to be completely 100% transparent. People have lives, they have things to do. What they need is trust. They need to trust that their government, that their, commissioners, that their city managers are just doing the right thing. And when things keep coming out over and over again, little things, and they add up. And that's what I'm running for, is to try to restore that trust so the rest of us can go about our regular lives and think, everything's going well. We have our inspector general. If things aren't going well, they'll check it and they'll let us know. And, we can trust that our government is acting in good faith. And right now, they're not. I mean, I did a ride along with a Key West police officer a couple of years ago. The documentation that they go through for every single incident, there's no way they don't have names of that victim. There is no way they don't have names of the person who ran into them. And for them to not to provide that, I mean, that should be public record.
Yeah, well, it's going to be eventually. If I have to, I'll take it up with the state attorney's office, but hopefully it won't go that far. Something high profile like that, I think all public records are important. But something like that, because there was some insinuation by people that were on the scene, including one of the people that took the video, that the law enforcement officers on site appeared to recognize or know the driver. So,
Of
um,
the person who ran over the scooter.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So, I mean, that to me, that's a problem as a journalist. We need to get that information. And
Yeah, and I don't have any information or evidence of that, but that does happen, I'm sure. But I don't have any evidence of what was
Well, and
going on
especially
there.
in an accident where there are injuries, and one of the people, there was a female that went to Lower Keys Regional Medical Center with a leg injury. So, and we
Mhm.
haven't even gotten an update on that. So, the answer to addressing the media is to not ignore them. That never ends well for anybody. Let's talk a little bit about Trauma Star. You brought that up as being an impetus for your campaign for county commissioner. You know, that's fascinating to me, and I've had conversations with Sheriff Rick Ramsey, who is very, very disappointed in the way that Monroe County Fire Department handled that. And there is yet to be a public discussion of that at the county commission level. And it's just the amount of narcotics that were stolen, and kind of the stain that was left on the Trauma Star program, which I mean, I've benefited from before. I've been airlifted out of Key West to Miami. Just a real shame that hasn't been addressed yet.
Well, that trauma star didn't happen when I decided to run. The reason why I had decided to run was, in one of my first announcements, I said, when you have a governing body that are largely the same, that largely agree, that meetings are really short and sweet, that is an environment that is ripe for corruption. And then just a couple months later, Trauma Star happened, the TDC happened,
Yes.
and folks were like, oh my gosh, he said the word corruption. And corruption takes a lot of different forms. That is not just people handing bags of cash to each other or anything. It is protecting people that you know. It is protecting
Mhm.
people from discipline, or from being in the law enforcement. So there's many different things, and for to not talk about it, to not investigate how much, who, where did those drugs go? Did that get into our, like, our community? Were kids buying fentanyl from, somebody we don't know? And those are the things that, we constantly need to ask those questions. And we constantly we just can't have people that, compromise themselves by wanting to protect, whomever, or trying to not, keep cover something up, because like you said, it always ends up coming out. And what did they say about the Watergate thing? It wasn't the crime, it was the cover
It
up.
was the cover up, absolutely.
And I'm running as somebody who's completely independent. Nobody's gonna I don't owe anybody anything. They don't owe anything to me. And I'm just gonna do to the best of my ability to serve the people of Key West, and be as, honest and open about as we possibly can, to rebuild the trust that we had. When I first moved here, Jim Scholl was city manager. We had a commission that, largely, acted in good faith, and, things went great. And over the last, 3, 4 years, it has steadily deteriorated. And it's very disappointing to see that. And it really culminated in the firing of Al Childress, and it was only to keep that Corradino report under wraps, which we've never discussed it at the city commission level.
That's another really good point about transparency. That Cordina report was a direct result.
Hmm.
That really, if folks take a look at that, and I've published it on Above the Fold before, we're probably going to have to take another look at it. But it outlined all of the things that we're learning about from the grand jury investigation in their subsequent report. And as now every couple of weeks, more charges come out, wrapping in, now we have another contractor that's involved in it. Um, and that Corradino report has never been discussed at the commission level. And it is just astounding to me.
And one of the first things that I'll do is try to put that on the agenda, because it needs to be discussed. The way that we structure the planning department, the way we structure the building department, the way that we, growth management, it just needs to be in public. I want to see an org chart. I want to see checks and balances. I want to see, how are we going to make sure this never happens again? And we're just not doing that, because we're trying to either protect whomever or keep things just the way they are. And there is a certain number of people in Key West and in the county that like things just the way they are. but most of us would prefer our government to act in good faith and to, do what's right by them so that they can go about their daily lives and, work in their two, three jobs, trying to afford rent and, trying to at least, a little bit enjoy the paradise that we live in.
Well, and I know, that fallout, it continues for the grand jury report, as we talked about. It's going to be interesting to see what other shoes drop here. I know right now the city's very concerned, and it would seem to me that they're in a extremely liable situation, where there are people that might have been denied permits, where other people got permits. But also, I believe on November 20th is a big planning board meeting where the former chief building officer actually did some major improvements to his home in violation of city code, is what it's sounding like right now. But not only do you have those violations, that far exceeded whatever permits he approved himself. Uh, you've got a situation where now he's begging forgiveness for it. So, if they're able to approve that variance for him, what does that mean to people that he just issued permits for and never put it through the planning process? Um, you
I
know,
hope there was a record of those permits at the very least, because I mean,
yes. Well, and
but
there's a problem with that Redhead property on Simonton Street, where the permits work actually started with the chief building officer's contracting firm was transferred to another firm before the permits were even issued, and they never went. It appears that they never went before planning. We're going to have something on that next week. Your district includes the Casa Marina, and they just finished a several $100 million refurb there, and I know that's one of the rafts of permits that they're going to be looking at, because there was quite a bit of controversy there about work that was done to the Sun Hut and some other things. So
that hut is so close to the water, and when you build that close to the water, there are lots of regulations, environmental regulations. I mean, they tore that thing down, and I mean, I didn't think anything of it at the time because I figured they just had their permits and that they were taking care of, all the environmental regulations, but there were probably no inspections, or anything that's going on there. And that's another one of the reasons why I'm running is because being a city commissioner is more than just sitting on the dais once a month. It is engaging with partners, it is engaging with the community. And I walk my dog by that property every single day and I look at it every day. And it is just dreadful that we just, marked 20 years of Wilma. That property has been vacant and derelict for 20 years. And it's probably going to take another 10 to figure out what to do and get it done. And I'm going to commit myself to getting that done. We have to engage with park hotels and resorts. We have to say, like, look, we need to figure out something. You can't start with a 3-story parking garage and you can't start with commercial laundry. This was
yes,
workforce housing. And let's not forget, when you build workforce housing, it's not like it's a financial sink. You're still getting revenue from that. It may not be the kind of revenue generated that your stockholders need, but maybe there's some kind of partnership that we can come up with. And, the same thing with the diesel plant. So we just don't continue to engage or continue to find that, somebody to take that on or, figure it out. And that takes behind, work to really talk to people and then bring it to the commission, in the open, every step of the way. And we just don't do that. I mean, that Casa Marina project just showed up out of the blue and everybody had to, scramble to be against it because it was just we didn't have any concrete plans to start, but just the plans that they had submitted were, just completely unacceptable.
yeah, it was pretty shocking how that all went down, and I think we're going to hear about that again. That's going to come up once the city starts looking at these permits. I'm kind of surprised state attorney's office hasn't looked at them yet, but I'm sure they will get around to them. The other one, and this comes under um, Commissioner Haskell's idea of looking at life threat issues. safety issues. The next one is going to be a giant commercial property right there on Duval Street with the now I'm thinking about it and I can't remember the La Concha.
Oh, yeah.
The La Concha also went through some major renovations here, and with those permits that are
Right, and
questionable.
we don't know
Yeah.
what happened. And the thing is that we're not anti-development. I'm, for smart development. The La
Hmm.
Concha on the surface is gorgeous. That renovation is, terrific, and I want to see more of that, redevelopment
Yes.
and refurbishing and making this Key West a premium product for our visitors because, we're charging a premium price and we need to be constantly improving. We need to be constantly improving Duval Street. We need to be, improving the look of it. We need to be improving the feel, and we need to be improving the stormwater drainage. Mark Rossi, who has said I heard that he's thinking about running for the District 2 spot, but we were at a chamber lunch that that one of the consultants for the Duval Street, and he said this needs to start with drainage, and we just paved Duval Street, but yet you didn't. Do anything about the drainage. You just took advantage
Hmm.
of COVID and repaved it. It takes long-term planning, and he was right. Like we don't need all of these consultants that are talking about aesthetics and things. We need it to work for the businesses that are down there, and every time we have a sprinkle it shouldn't flood.
Well, and of course, like we see all over the nation, infrastructure a key issue. Um,
Hmm.
and certainly, there hasn't been a whole lot of improvement work done in the city of Key West on infrastructure improvement over the years. Well, Chris, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I know you have to head up the Keys to a leadership meeting.
Yep,
Um,
Leadership Monroe, and we're going up there to help the next class and serve them dinner tomorrow night.
nice. Well,
Yeah.
if people want to learn more about your campaign, how can they do that?
Yeah, it's my website is really easy. It's christopherkeywest.com. And my phone number's on there. My email is chris@christopherkeywest.com. And I really welcome people emailing me and contacting me. Ted, I could talk to you for hours about stuff in Key West. But I really appreciate you having me on, and thank you for your time.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. That's Chris Mascott, our District 5 City Commission candidate. And hopefully, we're going to have your opponent on here sometime here in the near future. Well, that's going to do it for another Sunday sit down here on Above the Fold. I'm Ted Lund, and we'll see you next time.